Hey BookTube, today I'm going to review The Magicians of Caprona by Diana Wynne Jones. It's book 2 in the Worlds of Chrestomanci, which is indeed, it's just set in the same world, doesn't really follow from the last book, except it does share character in common. Chrestomanci himself, who is a powerful enchanter, one of the most powerful figures in this book, and he indeed shows up in this book to varying degrees. So in this book, it's set in an Italy that is still divided into city-states. It's with its own duke and capital city. There's a feuding family, the Montagnas and the Petrarchis, and basically they're losing their magic, and these are two magic families. They make spells and they protect the city, but they're perhaps a result of their feuding and just general not getting along. They seem to have lost the magic, and all the rivals and all that are coming around and are circling and are potentially gonna bring it down. And there's also a mysterious figure who seems to be working from the inside, who's sabotaging them and setting them amongst themselves. It's told from the point of view of Paolo and Tonio, two young Montana boys, and Diane Wynne Jones does a good job of kind of alternating between their perspectives at the very beginning, even while they're together, showing how much they care about each other, kind of establishing kind of a very close-knit family where everyone kind of rushes to everyone else's help and squabbles, but also is just, you can feel that this is really a family. So that when Tonio, who is the kind of the slower, he's the brother who's less talented. He doesn't seem to have magic ability other than he can talk to the patriarch cat of the family, which is very important in itself because the cats apparently help with the magic. They're a very kind of important totem for both families, it turns out. But that's his only real talent. He's not very good at school and all that, whereas Paolo, his brother, is very, very quick at all this stuff, but he worries about his brother. So you get these two, and you kind of alternate perspective between the two, which is very effective, because when Tonio gets kidnapped along with Angelica Petrarchi from the rival family, we can alternate chapters of what's going on. So yes, so you establish this very kind of close-knit family. There's a lot of just the fun spells of this world, this fun magic. You get magic duels, you get stone creatures getting animated, you get raining cow pats, you get there's lots of good violence in the book. There's the Punch and Judy show, which is a very violent, dark entertainment that's is a very old thing that goes back is outside of this book, where basically a puppet Punch beats his wife to death, and then tricks the hangman into hanging himself. That's included in the book. The Duke has this fascination for it, and it's played on the city streets, and it's that very much, this is the kind of the dark side that Diana Wynne Jones enjoys, and I enjoy having that in the book. I think that's important in children's books, that you should have the darkness as well as the fun, because I think that's what anchors it, and also kind of it's an important education thing for kids. I don't know, education. It's important to just let kids know that there's darkness in the world as well as light. Your mileage may vary on that. My parents set me loose and let me read anything, and I found I just did my own editing, and the things that weren't there I wasn't ready for. They didn't particularly stick, and the things that did stuck very well and twisted me into the sad creature you see before me. So let me be a warning to you all. So yes. Now, on the negative sides, this is very much an English writer writing about foreigners, and it's those funny Italians who are feuding and arguing amongst themselves. There's a scene where Chrestomanci, who's this Englishman, he comes upon the family, and they're basically having the kind of caricature. They're just all screaming at each other because they're crazy Italians, and he's like, oh, what a very Italian scene, and he's like, yeah, it's sort of that kind of looking down on foreigners thing. Oh, they talk funny, and they're always so passionate. And why can't they be sensible like us English people, or us Western people, or if you were gonna put it, obviously Italians are Western people. But so yeah, that does not read that well. I think it will reads less well as you go along. You know, I would think if you have people who are foreign to whoever you are, but they're speaking in their own language to each other, there's none of this kind of like, aha, they're speaking with funny accents kind of stuff. I found that kind of very patronizing. So this book, it's very much kind of, it's a well-told tale, but very kind of bog standard themes of like, oh, we need to work together. The two families turned out to not be all that different. What they're feuding about wasn't really particularly anything that was important, and it was sort of silly that they set themselves against each other, and they need to learn to work together and all that stuff. So that was like very eye-rolly, and unfortunately this kind of slid into the plot of the obviousness of the plot of like, in the end, like, because what they have to do, the main thrust of the book is they have to figure out the words to the Angel of Caprona. They can sing this kind of magical song, and it'll bring back the magic and then bring back the power of their song. But it was the solution to that seemed so blindingly obvious and dumb. It was like, wow, these characters must be dumb. They must be dumb foreigners or something like that. So I found that. And in the end, Chrestomanci, who is this very powerful figure who shows up in the book, and says, oh, he's at the beginning of the book, and he's like, oh, I can't interfere. This is Italian politics. I can't interfere and stuff like that. It's like, oh, good. This is like Gandalf. He's like way overpowered of a creature. He's got to let Gandalf and Sam take the ring to the volcano, and they've got to do that. He can't help. They have to do it on their own. But in the end, in this book, Chrestomanci does help. He calls, they call, he comes running, and he does help. And it's sort of like one of these, well, then why did we need the heroes to begin with, since Chrestomanci was going to come in and save the day? So that was sort of unsatisfying to me, which is, yeah, so in the end, it's a well-told kind of fun tale, but the kind of the dealing with like the Italianness of it, and just sort of the obvious plot and the obvious plot solution and just how the plot ends was disappointing. This is definitely a lesser Diana Wynne Jones for me. I very much more preferred Charmed Life. Her the first in this series, it seemed much more hard hitting, much darker actually in a way. I don't know if other people spot that darkness. To me, that was what really hit me in that book. And it's like this in this book, I really enjoyed the family. I really enjoyed just that cohesiveness, and it felt like a family. And I was like, oh, that's kind of like this is a family I'd want to belong to, which I think is a compliment in a book like this. It's like, yeah, so it's like if you're you get that warmth in there. So you do have that, but the actual overall plot and themes, not so much. So yeah, that's my review of The Magicians of Caprona. More videos later.